Hello everyone, this is Lecture Room Online, and this series will introduce you to C++ programming language. I don't like a boring introduction, so let's start. To start coding with the C++ programming language, we need two pieces of software, one named as text editor and the other one named as compiler. But for a beginner level, we will use IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment, which after install the IDE, it comes with the pre-installed text editor and the compiler. One among the popular IDEs for the C++ programming language for beginners is named as Dev C++, and its icon is as seen in the video. To get and install Dev C++, you may follow link in the description of this video. After downloading and installing the Dev C++, you can now follow this series of the video. First, I have created this empty folder at desktop. This folder will hold all source codes of C++ programming language in this series. You may create your own and name whenever you like it. After creating this folder, let's open our IDE. Press Window and search Dev, and then I'll open this first C version or option. After opening the Dev C++ IDE, it will open in this nature. Most of the options in this ribbon are inactive, they are not clickable, and they are not functioning. This is because we don't have any source code in our IDE. To create the source code, we will come here, new, or to the file this and choose new, and then we have two options, whether to create new source file, and the shortcut is to press Ctrl N on your keyboard, or to create a new project. First option to choose is this source file, because we are going to run only a simple program and not creating complex software. So we will choose this first option. After creating the source file, it comes with the default name named as untitled1, but we can change it to any name we like. For example, you can choose here file and choose save as, and then choose the folder. This time I'll choose to the C++ programming language folder that I have created there at the desktop, and then I'll name this as lesson 1. After saving this, you will see now it's named as lesson1.cpp. .cpp is an extension for C++ programming language, so any source file should have that as an extension or other listed while saving the file there. After that, you can now start coding with the C++ programming language. To understand the syntax of any language is very important, and the syntax in programming language is a rule that in order for your program or instruction to be understood with computer, you have to follow that rule. That rule is different from the rules of English. That's grammar. In grammar, you may have a small mistake, but someone may understand your message. But in computer, in order for your program to be understood with the computer, the syntax should be exactly the same. So let's start see the syntax for C++ programming language. Any program of C++ programming language should start with a line named as include IOStream, that include the IOStream. IOStream is a library that will help us or will help our program to be able to give output, to take input, or to do both input and output in the program, and it's depend on the nature of the program you are writing. Our program today will be only for output. So this line of code will be written as include IOStream. After writing include IOStream, then we have to define the main function of our program. The main function is brace where all codes of the program should pass direct or indirect in order to execute. To define the main function, you write int main and then parentheses and then down return 0. This is called the skeleton of C++ programming language. That is, all of the C++ programming language should have these lines. Each line has its own meaning, and we will know one by one while proceeding with this series. But for now, let's be familiar with the IDE. After writing this program, we have three options of here. The first option is named as compile, and the shortcut is to press F9. This is used to compile. Compiling is the process of converting your source code to object codes, and also it do parsing. Parsing is a process of searching for syntax error. If I press this option, I will receive message like this program has a 0 error and has a 0 warnings. But also the output file, which is named the same name as the file we had, but is have an extension of exe. This file is executable to Windows operating system. But if you are running a different operating system, for example a Mac or a Linux, the extension will be different depending on your operating system. But also there is a file size and the time used for compilation. The other option is to learn. This option will work after compiling your work. And then after learning this, I have maximized it to show you these two data. We have the first data 0.4792 seconds and the other data return value 0. In fact, this return value 0 is what we wrote in our program, and this is the time that we use for our program to complete run from the memory, and I mean RAM. So this time will always vary depending on the processes of your computer memory, but this value should always set to return 0 in order to show that your program have been run and execute without facing any kind of issue, whether to the memory or from other errors like logic and mathematics errors. In other words, if someone changed this value, example to 50, and try to compile this and then run, the result of the program will show the return value of 50. And an integer, in fact, is any whole number, a number that do not have a decimal portion. So what if someone write like 50.88 and then compile, then run? It is still return 50 because that 0.88 is not an integer. So it will end on the number before dot, even if the number is too large like what I wrote there in my program. You will see it returned as it is. But this value should always set it to be 0 in order to show that the program have run without getting any error. The other thing in this program is that the main function is written as int and should always be int, and this int written here is what is returned here. So always the main function will be int, and the main function will also always return 0. Let's see another thing. Let's try to output a message to the console. To output message to the console using C++ programming language, we need to use the cout object, and the syntax is to write cout and then the insertion operator, and then we can run the program, maybe writing a lecture, and then end with a semicolon. Let me try to compile this program and see if it have error or no. Yes, the program has returned error, this one, that the cout was not declared in this scope. In fact, in order to use the cout from IOStream, you have to define std, I mean s here, the std, and using these two colons, we call them the resolution operator. Let me compile again. You may see this time we don't have any error. And then let's run. The text that is written in the cout object is now printed to our console. That's why it's termed as cout. So it's the character output to the console. What if I want to return to print another text like room? You see, we are expecting to get the same kind of error because that the cout does not have std. Let's start by compiling. So you will see error that cout was not declared, the same error. So to solve the error, you must also write std and the resolution operator. What if I compile this program again? No error. And what if I run? Now I got lecture room. So if I want to add another word in front, like say cout online, and this is the name of our channel, if I try to run this program, we will end up on the same kind of error, that cout is not declared in the scope of our program. Should we define std in any cout of our program throughout the program? No. We have the solution of using the namespace. A namespace is a container that prevents name confusion. So to solve the name confusion, we'll use the namespace. We'll discuss about namespaces in the next lessons, but for this today, let's see one namespace that will solve the issue of writing std in every cout. Below the line of include IOStream, I will add another line of using namespace std that will define all stds in my program. To do so, I write here using namespace std. So this now, all of the std namespaces are defined in my program. So there is no need to specify std in every cout object. I can now compile and run my program safely. Let's try. The program has compiled without an error, and my cout objects do not have std. That's fun. And to run this program, I'll try to run. And now we have successfully printed the text lecture room online. Finally, I want to show this button here. This button is written as compile and run, and the shortcut to do so is to press F11 on your computer keyboard. Most of time I'll use this option because I want to compile, to change my source code into object code, and then I want to run so that I can see the output. Let me try to use this option. That's fine. Yes. So this is introduction to C++ programming language. The next lesson will be dealing with output and more formatting of our output to C++ programming language. Welcome. See you on the next lesson. Do not forget to subscribe, to like and share this video to your fellow friends so that all they can get this knowledge. See you on the next lesson. Goodbye.